When we enter into a relationship, we want it to be mutually pleasing and we want it to last. But so often this is just not how relationships go. They turn painful and they fall apart. And so often when this happens, we have no idea why. It just so happens that the most common reason that relationships fall apart is safety. Stick with me. On a subconscious level, even though we do associate having a relationship with some degree of safety, if in that relationship we experience something where we feel unsafe in that relationship, we care more about our own safety than we do about the experience of the other person, and we care more about our own safety than we do about the health of the overall relationship. In a relationship, when something makes us feel unsafe, the aspects of us that are designed to keep us safe take over, and those aspects of us are very self-centered. Even if what you're watching is these parts being self-sacrificing, that self-sacrificing is done because we think it's in our own best interests. If you want to learn more about this concept, you can watch my video titled Fragmentation, the Worldwide Disease. In a relationship, when we start to feel unsafe and these protector parts of ourself take over, and they start to act in self-serving ways, they start to create a zero-sum game in the relationship. They start to behave in ways that are self-preserving, but often detrimental to the other person that we are in a relationship with. And this creates a relationship downward spiral. The reason it creates this relationship downward spiral is by us behaving this way, by definition, it makes the other person in the relationship feel unsafe. Now, if the other person in the relationship feels unsafe, that whole process I just described takes place within them as well. When we start to have these aspects of us that are protecting us in self-preserving ways to the detriment of them, they start having the aspects of themselves that are designed to protect them take over as well. And those aspects start to behave in ways that are self-preserving and potentially detrimental towards us. And this simply escalates the problem because that heightened degree of unsafety causes us to double down on our behavior, and that doubling down on our behavior causes them to double down on theirs. This keeps amplifying to the degree of unsafety and pain in the relationship that the relationship itself is destroyed. So that you can really grasp this concept, I've got a concrete example for you. Miles is in a relationship with Rebecca. He's been with her for 2 years. He's been living with her for 1. But recently, Miles got laid off and he hasn't found another job yet. Because he hasn't found another job yet, that puts excess pressure on Rebecca. Rebecca feels like she's under more financial pressure. This has made her feel like she's carrying the both of them, which is not something she wants to do. As a result, she's developed some resentment, and this has been causing her to act more uptight and shorter-tempered with Miles. Miles doesn't feel like Rebecca is delighted to see him anymore. He also feels like he's less respected than he once was in the relationship. What Miles feels like is that he's either headed towards Rebecca leaving him or towards being stuck in a house where Rebecca's constantly negative towards him. Both of these scenarios feel unsafe to Miles. So in the relationship, Miles is feeling that unsafety. So what happens? His protector parts take over the experience. It just so happens to be that his protection strategy is to regress. He starts to escape to a younger stage of development. He starts behaving like a child. He stops cleaning up after himself. He refuses to engage in adult conversations and checks out mentally, working for hours on end on his model cars. He binges on whatever snacks are in the house. He's even started wetting the bed occasionally. By doing this, Miles is trying to return to a stage in his life where he felt more secure and when he had a caregiver that could rescue him from his negative emotions. Subconsciously, he hopes that this will solicit the same behavior out of Rebecca that he used to get from his mother. However, this does not happen. Instead, him behaving this way makes Rebecca feel unsafe. Miles is hoping to solicit some caretaking behavior, some comforting, and some support from Rebecca, and instead, this is registering in Rebecca's system as pew, 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 pew. Red alert. We are in danger. Rebecca feels like she's not in a relationship with a man anymore. she's in a relationship with a little boy. This makes her feel like she's alone holding all the pressure, and not just alone holding all the pressure, holding him as well. This is not something she ever wanted to sign up for. Because Rebecca's future seems very bleak to her, lo and behold, her own protection mechanisms start to kick in, and the parts of her that are designed to protect her take over. It just so happens to be that her protection strategy is to become dominating and criticizing. By doing this, Rebecca feels less powerless to the situation she is in. Subconsciously, she feels doing this will pressure Miles into correcting what he's doing that is causing her pain, but this does not happen. Instead, it makes Miles feel even more unsafe and thus double down on his regression behavior. So that now, instead of even looking for a job, he's pouring all of his time, focus, and energy into play, which in turn makes Rebecca feel even more unsafe, so she doubles down on her domination and criticism to the degree that now she's doing nothing but yelling at him and even threatening to leave. If Rebecca and Miles don't manage to caretake each other's insecurities and each other's sense of unsafety, this relationship will continue to spiral until the relationship falls apart. We can get into this unsafety spiral in literally any relationship. What I mean by that is a parent can get into it with a child, siblings can get into it, colleagues can get into it, bosses and employees can get into it, two businesses can get into it, friends can get into it, lovers can get into it. You get the point, right? Anytime there is two entities in a relationship, you can get into this safety death spiral. If you want to avoid this pattern, you need to recognize when you feel insecure or unsafe within the relationship and urgently seek to reestablish that sense of security and sense of safety with the other person. On top of this, to the opposite, whenever you recognize that somebody else is in an insecurity or is struggling with unsafety in the relationship, look to caretake that insecurity and that unsafety so that you can reestablish security and safety in the relationship. If you want to learn more about this, watch 2 of my videos. The first titled How to Create a Safe Relationship, and the second titled Trust. What is trust and how to build trust in relationships? It is not possible to fix a problem when you don't even understand what is going on. Most people don't actually know that the perception of unsafety and the plethora of behaviors, strategies, and coping mechanisms that people employ so as to reestablish safety for themselves is the most common problem in relationships. It's one of the most common reasons relationships go from wonderful to terrible. It's one of the most common reasons that relationships fail. When people are desperate to protect and preserve themselves, they do things no matter the impact on the other person. The perception of unsafety can make even the most loving person behave in narcissistic ways. Of course, it is always easier said than done, but now that you understand the problem and you know what's going on, it's possible to fix it. Have a good week. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and consider sharing this video with your friends. You can also click on the bell icon to be notified of the next time that I post a video. I want to thank you personally for the bravery that you have to step into awareness. I'll see you in the next video.